is something that's like super fun for you to get to be the bad guy, right? Because you are the friendliest man in the world, objectively.
No, there's some evil in me, so.
Welcome to Salon Talks. I'm Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this guy next to me is Randall Park. He is an actor, a writer, a producer, a director, an occasional rapper.
No.
And occasional. And I Punched Keanu Reeves was nominated for a couple of awards, I see, according to its Wikipedia page. So don't sell yourself short. And according to his own description, an international sex symbol.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Yeah, you've said that in public.
Yeah, no, I was joking, but I guess a little bit not joking.
At least domestic sex. You know him, of course, from 6 seasons on Fresh Off the Boat, from the MCU and the DCEU. That's impressive. From Young Rock, Always Be My Maybe, one of my favorite rom-coms now. The director of Shortcomings. I always like to give a shout out for IKEA Heights.
Oh my gosh.
Because I love it.
Deep Cuts.
Deep Cuts. And now from Shondaland, the new Netflix series, The Residents.
Yep.
All right. Talk to me about The Residents. Talk to me first about this show, which is very Agatha Christie, very Knives Out.
Yeah.
A million characters.
Yes.
One place.
Yeah.
One mystery.
Yep.
And you.
Yeah, well, The Residents is a kind of an upstairs, downstairs screwball murder mystery set in the East Wing, the residence of a wing of the White House during an Australian state dinner. So it's about the people who run the White House every day throughout every administration, the ones who stay and keep the White House afloat. And a murder that takes place, and where the great Cordelia Cup, played by Uzo Aduba, comes in and is hired on for the job. The greatest detective in the world, and FBI agent Edwin Park, played by me, is assigned to assist her.
She's like the Sherlock.
Yeah.
She's the Benoit. I have a million questions about this show. I'm going to try not to ask them all about Kylie Minogue, who is also on this show.
Yeah.
This cast is insane.
It's a huge cast and a very stacked cast. So much talent.
So much talent.
Yeah.
Yet putting it together, this show has had a lot of fits and starts.
Yes.
This show has taken a long road to get here.
Journey.
Tell me a little bit about that, because you were halfway shooting. You were halfway through shooting it, and then
the actor's strike, the writer's strike.
A death in the cast.
A death in the cast. The great Andre Braugher, who was originally cast as the character A.B. Windsor, shot half of his stuff, and then the strike happened. So we were delayed there, and then Andre passed away, which was just such a shock for all of us, and so tragic to lose one of our greats for everyone. But so we had to kind of reshoot those scenes with the great Giancarlo Esposito, who was close friends with Andre, and it was a very beautiful thing for him to do, pick up to what his friend started, and kind of did it in honor of his friend, so the whole process took a couple years just because of those things.
And when you have an ensemble like this, Bronson Pinchot, Jane Curtin, Cameron, I could go on and on and on.
Al Franken. Playing a senator, which is crazy.
Eliza Coupe, it just goes on and on and on. But when you have that many people, this incredible comic cast, these really talented people who have other stuff going on, how do you keep your momentum going? And how do you keep everybody available?
I don't know. I wasn't doing the scheduling, but gosh, I would imagine it was very difficult to be able to figure out when people could do what and to coordinate all those schedules. But I think our spirits were kept up in large part because the cast and the crew, across the board, were just such lovely, fun, positive people, including the crew, including all the folks at Shondaland. Just they really brought a positive energy and a fun vibe to it all, and we just leaned on each other, and we just kind of kept going, and we're so proud of what we've accomplished.
And now it's here.
Yeah.
Randall, I want to ask about your character, because you are a funny guy, you're a very great actor, but you have to have so much. You are the guy who is watching everybody else. It's a very restrained part, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, when you have a part like that, where you're the guy literally standing behind the genius, you're not a suspect, you're not creating mayhem. Is there a backstory for him? Are you thinking in terms of like, how do I get my jokes in? How do I maximize myself? Or do you just kind of accept, okay, I've got to be way more?
Well, I mean, in the story, Cordelia Cup is very hard on Edwin, especially at the beginning, because she is the greatest detective in the world. She knows she is, and she kind of resents the fact that this guy has been hired to kind of help her, because she could do it on her own. And Edwin Park is very aware of her reputation and very respectful of Cordelia because of it. So for him, it really is about helping her. He genuinely wants to help, and he also wants to learn from her. So a lot of what he does throughout the show, and standing there, kind of just being there, and occasionally throwing some things in, it shows his commitment to solving the murder.
Makes sense. Yeah. And it's, this show is such a huge ensemble, such a big group of people working together. And that's kind of your thing, Randall. I look at your career and I see you as someone who is a community builder. Like, you are a guy who likes being in a kind of a repertoire. That's been from the beginning. You founded a theater company in college.
That's right, UCLA.
For Asian Americans. You have been part of that community of elevating other Asian American voices throughout your whole career. What does that look like now today, because did you have that when you were coming up in the world and you were starting out as an actor?
Not on a national or international scale, but in a local scale, yes. I mean, when I first started, I was involved in an Asian American theater company that kind of branched out from the college theater company. And so I was always working, with great actors, and then it just kind of, it's just kind of how my career has kind of evolved and continued forward. It's great fun to work with a large group of talented people, and I mean, really, any show is it's a team, and everyone plays their part, and I just love, going in there and giving what I give and bouncing off of other actors, and so it's a great blessing.
And so much has changed. You once said, or more than once probably have said, you thought Fresh Off the Boat was going to be a pilot that never even made it to air. How much has changed in this past decade in terms of Asian American representation? I mean, just so much has changed. So much has changed, just even specifically in genre. Like, you look at what's going on in South Korean cinema right now. There's so much exploding everywhere. What does it look like for you in the Asian American community of actors, producers, writers, checking each other out, helping each other? Is it the same, or do you feel any of that sort of Hollywood competitiveness, industry toxicity getting in?
No, and I never really have. Even at the beginning, I felt like, because we were such a small community in the entertainment world when I first started, it still felt very supportive, and as we've, changed and grow and all these great projects, sprung. We all know each other, because it's still a small community, and it's really, it is, at least for me, it really is one of camaraderie and celebration, and with everyone wants everything everywhere all at once to Crazy Rich Asians. These are all like wins for all of us.
Makes sense. And we are now, however, in a very different era in our country.
Are we? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of getting to be springtime. Weather's changing a bit. We're in a moment now. You are a son of immigrants. Where immigrants are being targeted. Children of immigrants are being targeted. but also other communities are.
Diversity and inclusion is being targeted, yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And that also includes people with disabilities,
Yeah.
people with invisible disabilities.
Yeah, my daughter.
I want to ask you about that because you have been her advocate, you and your wife have been her advocate for so long. And one of the things you said that really strikes me is you said when she first got diagnosed and we first found out, I wanted to fix her.
Yeah.
That has changed for you, but there are a lot of people who still want to fix people.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you came to that.
When she first got diagnosed on the spectrum, it was, something, we obviously didn't know much about autism, and immediately upon diagnosis, it was like, okay, well, what do we do? What do we do because we know how cruel and harsh the world is. What do we do to get her ready for this world? And the thought was, what do we do for her specifically? But I think over time, growing with her and seeing her grow and just loving her so much and just realizing how perfect she is to us, it just became clear that to us that, no, I think the problem isn't her, it's the cruel world that she's growing into. So what could we do to make the world a better place for her, as opposed to like putting it all on her, So we joined my wife and I joined a charity called Culture City, which is focused on inclusion and acceptance of people with invisible disabilities, and yeah, we're very passionate about that organization, and really passionate about making sure the world is a better place for her.
And when we're now living in a culture where anti-science is so accepted, and people are vaccines cause autism is somehow back on the table as a conversation point. What do you, as a parent and as an advocate, want to say when you see things like this happening, or you hear that discourse?
Yeah, a part of me, I clearly don't believe the same things that a lot of people are saying, and there is so much kind of constant just barrage of opinions and counter opinions and everything kind of becomes this binary in today's culture, where everything becomes a point of division, But I don't concern myself too much with that, I'm not on social media. I'm not like immersed in the vitriol, I just love my daughter, and we just want to do what we can to make the world great for her. I love my community. We just want to do what we can to make the world better for people in my community. I love all groups of people, and do what we can, as opposed to engaging in the constant arguing, and to me that's kind of useless. Yeah.
Seems to be that way. I want to ask you about, when you talk about that community, you talk about being in this community of actors and writers for such a long time.
Yeah.
You've said that for a long time you would get cast as like the Asian friend or the Asian coworker.
Yeah.
What does that look like to you? Because you've played like a lot of investigators. You get to be
lately,
the nice guy, federal agent, the nice cop showing up. What does that look like for you? And how do you then avoid being typecast as the Asian friend?
Yeah, I see it as a part of just the job, and I don't think it's like an exclusively Asian thing. I think we all get, all actors get, especially when something connects and does well, people, want to, they see them in that way, and they want to cast them for other parts that are similar. I get it. That's just how the industry works. But so I'm happy to just work. I still have that working actor mentality where like any job is a great blessing. But I also love the idea of branching out, and I think as I've progressed in my career, I've gotten more kind of little opportunities to branch out here and there. Yeah, I'm playing Moriarty and Watson. I'm playing. Just played Kim Jong Un of all people. There's just like always opportunities to do something different, and I seek those. But at the same time, I do not begrudge any thing that's more kind of how people see me, and I'm happy to do those.
Your executive producer on Watson said that it would be fun to cast the friendliest man in the world in this role. I love it because same thing. It's like I think the first time I saw you was in the interview, seeing you as an epic bad guy, and now finally, 15 years later, we get to see you in the villain role again.
Yeah. I played some villains here and there, but in very small things. Yeah.
I want to know: is this something you're like looking for? Is something that's like super fun for you to get to be the bad guy? Yeah. Right? Because you are the friendliest man in the world, objectively.
No. There's some evil in me, so. There's a little bit of evil there that I get to like really put out there and explore, and I mean there's good and bad in all of us. So it's very fun to indulge in those sides of me and to get to do something different.
Moriarty, I want to ask you one more thing because Moriarty, he's a classic, like he's an icon.
Yeah.
Baddie. Is there a role, villain or otherwise, that you still like? I want to take on that icon. I want to be that guy.
Love to play Genghis Khan.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Aiming for the stars. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a villain in many ways, but also very complex. I'm obsessed with Genghis Khan and just the history of the Mongol Empire. It's very fascinating to me. Very complex person. But yeah, that would be really fun.
Okay. All right. I'm from your lips to the universe's ears. Coming soon.
There you
Randall
go.
Park, Genghis Khan. But in the meantime, we can watch you in this really delightful, just super, super fun show.
Yeah.
It's a real ride. Netflix cruelly gave me all but the final episode. So
I haven't seen the final one yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting on for that, and we'll all find out together who done it. Thank you,
That's
Randall
right.
Park. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So fun talking to you again.
Thank you for watching Salon Talks. If you had a good time, why not subscribe right over here so you can get more conversations with your favorite artists, actors, directors, writers, comedians, musicians, politicians, everybody you love, and I love too. And while you're here, why not watch another video right now?